Hi friends. Today I'm continuing with my series of intuitively chosen tarot spreads. And the spread that I intuitively chose today is a Hello from Heaven tarot spread. It's a spread used to communicate with departed loved ones. I've never done a spread like this before, although I think oftentimes our loved ones do come in when we have a tarot reading. But this one specifically is designed to help communicate with those departed loved ones. So if there is a departed loved one in particular that you would like to communicate with, take a moment to picture them in your mind's eye, perhaps sitting with you, sitting across from you, however you like to picture them, maybe even in a favorite place where you connected with this loved one when they were here in this incarnation. And if you don't have a particular loved one that you have in mind, or perhaps you just like to leave it open, just set the intention that you're open to communication from whoever chooses to come through. And that way it can just be open to whatever spirit chooses to communicate with us. So let's go ahead and get started. I have a few tarot decks and an oracle deck. Again, as usual, I'm not exactly sure how this is going to go, but we're just going to go with it. I think I'll start with this deck. So the first card that we're going to pull in this spread is for a main theme. So Spirit, can we get a card for a main theme for this reading to communicate with departed loved ones? A main theme, please, Spirit. Maybe loved ones are not wanting to use that deck. Let's try this one. Spirit, can we get a main theme for this reading to communicate with departed loved ones for my audience? A central theme, a central idea, a central energy for this reading, please. Okay. So believe it or not, we got the Death card and the Rebirth card. So your loved one wants you to know, if you're not already aware of this, which I think most of us are, that they are not gone. They are reborn into an energetic state, a soul that lives on, and they will continue to be reborn, as we have been, into this lifetime many, many times. So that's our central theme. Our next card is the main challenge that we face, or the main challenge that your loved one may have faced. This may be a challenge between you. This may have been a challenge that this person had themselves. It could be a challenge for you now that this loved one is gone, but the main challenge is what we would like a card for now, please, Spirit. Okay, so the card that we got for the main challenge is the Devil card. So this could mean a few different things. It could be that this individual had some challenges while they were here. Perhaps this is what led to their being departed. Perhaps some addiction issues, some self-worth issues. If that's the case, I am truly sorry. Or this could speak to perhaps some unresolved issues between the two of you. But the challenge with the Devil card would have been something that was more perceived than actual. even if it related to like an addiction or something like that, it still would have been, that problem would have been perhaps in response to a perceived feeling of not being worthy, or that there was a challenge that could not be overcome in this lifetime, and so leading to a sense of hopelessness. Or it could be, this could be saying that there was something between the two of you that was a difficult challenge to overcome, and that perhaps you never did overcome this during their lifetime. Maybe there was a rift between the two of you, and so that may have been left unresolved when they passed on, and that might be a regret, something that still challenges you to this day. So Spirit, can we get a message for my audience with regard to how they connected with this departed loved one? How did they connect with this departed loved one? Okay, the Four of Pentacles is what we got here, the Four of Pentacles. So you connected with this individual in a very earthy way, a very down-to-earth way. This probably was not a real spiritual connection, which doesn't mean that there weren't spiritual overtones, but that the outward appearances of this and the way that it felt comfortable was that you connected on a very earthly level. You connected doing things together physically. Maybe you gardened together, maybe you played basketball together, maybe you just hung out. But this was a very earthly connection. Perhaps you both loved the forest. You loved being in nature. But this was not a real thinking sort of a connection. This was not a real necessarily outwardly spiritual connection. This was just kind of more of an actual being together and doing together was the way you connected with this individual. So the next card we need is the karma that you collected with regard to your relationship with this individual. Spirit, can you give us a card for the karma? Okay, the card that we got is the Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune. So I feel like the karma that you collected during this relationship I don't know that this specifies what type of karma you collected, but what it does say is that this karma has already come back around to you. Whatever it was that you planted within this relationship, whether that was good or bad, whatever you put into it, what you gave to this relationship has already come back to you in some way. Yeah, so that's about all I can say with that one. Whatever you gave to this relationship, and it may not have actually manifested back to you, but it will. It will. I feel like this card is saying that you put a lot into this relationship, you gave to this individual, and they may not have been willing to accept it at the time. They may have been angry, or they may have been stubborn, or they may have been blocking you in some way. But even if that was the case, even if you felt like they didn't receive what you gave to them, your efforts were pure, you gave what you could, and even if you feel like maybe it wasn't enough, that karma came back around or will come back around, even to them in the afterlife. Whatever they weren't willing to accept here, they will be once they've passed on, and they are. And so in that aspect, you also should be feeling that what you gave was enough, and it is coming back to you again, in perhaps a sense of peace finally, or or maybe just a knowing that, you were there, you spent time together. The karma was just that you provided each other with a peaceful place to be, or a camaraderie. So whatever the karma that you provided, whatever you gave to this individual, it will come back to you. And not in a bad way. This is not a karma's a bitch kind of a thing. This is we give what we can in our lifetime to others. We give what we can. We give what we're able. Even if we don't give very much, even if we don't feel like we give well or nicely or lovingly, even if we don't feel like we did that, we give what we can. And the universe appreciates that. And so that karma will come back around to you. So let's see, what next? Next is how you did. So I guess this is how your relationship, how you did. Okay, well, the card that we got is the moon card. So what I'm hearing is that you don't feel like you gave as much as you could have given. You don't feel like you lit up this individual's life as much as you should have, or would have liked to, or I feel like you held back with this individual, and probably you held back in fear of upsetting them or angering them. Perhaps that's the feeling that I'm getting. That you really wanted to, but you knew that if you, if you tried to explain yourself or you tried to help them too much, it wouldn't have been well received. It would have been seen as lecturing, or it would have been seen as not allowing them to be their own person. So I feel like that this card is saying that you feel like you didn't do enough. But you did the best that you could. Okay, so the next card is how the deceased sees you now. So Spirit, could we have a message on how their deceased loved ones see them now? Okay. So we got the Six of Pentacles and the King of Swords. The Six of Pentacles and the King of Swords. So, both of these cards, this one is catching petals from heaven, and this one is, has these joyous birds that are flying along. To me, they appear to be doves that are flying ahead. So this individual is saying that they don't hold any ill will against you. They are now receiving all of the love that maybe they weren't willing to receive when they were here. They are so very thankful because it's like all of what you were trying to give them just sort of filled up a bucket that was just waiting, and they may have blocked this and they weren't willing to receive it, but now it's like they just continuously get this shower of love that was there waiting for them all along, and they are they're like coming and they're so wanting to just go to this. They don't ever want this to stop. They just want to run to where this shower of love and happiness is coming that had been built up over your lifetime. All of the love and happiness that you weren't able to give them, either because they didn't want to accept it, or even the little times that you thought about them when you weren't together. All of those things have just like gathered and gathered and gathered, and they've just filled this container that's just been waiting for the invitation to come to them, and now it's all coming to them, and it's just this beautiful shower of love that's just this constant fluttering and surrounding them and coming down on them, and they just it's making them feel so much freer than they ever did when they were here. So that's how they see you now, and they're very thankful for this. And so Spirit, the next card is how they did. So can we get some messages on how the deceased loved one did when they were here, how they did with this relationship, or how they did with their life? Okay, so we got the Two of Swords, the Two of Swords. They tried to do the best that they could. They tried to stay in the middle. They tried to be balanced. They tried to be calm, but they always felt like there was something hanging over their heads. There was always, they always felt like if they stepped one way or the other, there was danger there. They never felt like they had a safe place. But they tried as much as they could to stay centered, to stay in this little safe zone that they had. They tried to be strong, but they always felt like, they just always felt like that it was precarious for them to make any sort of a decision, to make any sort of a move. But I'm hearing that when they were with you, it didn't feel quite as much that way. It was almost as though this calm water back here, that was kind of how they felt when they were with you. They still had this not knowing for sure which way to go, and being afraid to try either way. But it was like, even though that was still with them, they could kind of relax into being with you. And Spirit, can we have messages for what is left to transform? What is left to transform? Yeah, we got the Ten of Swords. The Ten of Swords, what is left to transform is blaming yourself and regrets. They want you to let go of any regrets, and certainly they want you to let go of any blame. They don't blame you for anything. In fact, like with this card here, you were kind of their happy place, even though it may not have been, they may not have been happy enough, but you provided them with some of that, and they love you for that, and they want you to let go of any regrets that you have. They want you to let go of any blaming yourself. They want you to let go of any belief that you didn't do enough, or that you had any shortcomings when it came to them. And Spirit, what gift do they get to keep? What gift do you get to keep from this? Queen of Swords. Queen of Swords is what we got. Okay, so they want you to have clarity. They want you to to be able to have the gift of clarity, of clear insight, of knowing, of understanding and believing that you did the best that you could for them. They so see that now, and they are so appreciative, and they saw it then. They just couldn't quite accept it, maybe. Whatever rift there might have been, if any, whatever resistance, you may have even gotten along just fine, but you never really told each other how much you loved each other, or you were never, you didn't ever ask them, hey, what was it like when you were a kid? Or you didn't ever, whatever it was, whatever you felt like didn't get done, whatever you felt regrets that didn't get accomplished when they were here. They want you to be very clear that that's all fine now. Everything was good enough. And it always is. And they are in a place now where they are being just absolutely showered with your love that you gave them when you were here, when they were here in this incarnation. And so that's a gift that they want you to have, to understand, to know, to believe that that's where they are now. So I'm going to draw an oracle card here just to get any additional messages that would be helpful. So Spirit, could we have one card, please, for additional messages for this audience? So the card that we got is Hold Your Vision, Fixed Moon. I'm going to get the book and read what the book says about this card. Hold your vision, fixed moon. And this is one of what they call special cards. There are two main possibilities with this card. The first is that you need to stand firm in whatever situation you're in. The second, very different interpretation, is that something is stuck. That could well be referring to the situation you're asking about. If that's the case, have a think about what you can do to grease the wheel so that events move forward. Are you being stubborn? If so, that's great, because if you really want things to change, there's a solution. Stop digging your heels in. Be the one to break a deadlock. With two interpretations for this card, it's up to you to decide what's going on and which meaning applies to you. This offers up a chance for some self-reflection. Attune to the moon. Yes, just say a word a lot and see how it feels. Additional meanings for this card: staying power, faith, or patience are needed. Someone needs to back down, avoid stagnation. A personal or professional relationship will be ending. The teaching. In astrology, there are three quadruplicities: cardinal, fixed, and mutable. The fixed signs are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. The fixed signs can be stubborn, so anything that's just starting as you draw this card may well last longer. Remember, we each have all the star signs in our chart. It's just the way the astrological wheel works. So there's no judgment when we say that. While it's admirable how much staying power the fixed signs have, they also can be obstinate. So my read on this is that the second interpretation, that something is stuck. And that could be referring to the situation that you're asking about. So again, the gift that your loved one wants to take away is that whatever you did for them in their life was perfect, was enough, was more than enough, and they are in a wonderful place now, and they thank you for that. So, I hope that this reading has given you some clarity, maybe some peace, or maybe just a touchstone. But I had a lot of fun doing this reading, and so perhaps we'll do another one in the future. Thank you so much for being here with me, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.